Okay, so now let's make our matte shadow material. So select your ground plane here, and okay, go to your material editor, go to an empty slot, and we just go to get material, right? And it's called matte shadow. All right. In the scanline renderer, this is super easy. It's more complicated in other renderers. Matte shadow. Okay. And here it is, this blank looking thing. Just make sure receive shadows is turned on. That's all we really need. If it's a wet surface or something, we could put a ray trace map in the reflection slot, but we're probably just using this for receiving shadows. Okay, so I apply it to selection. Apply assign material to selection. There it is. Okay, it just gets gray looking. All right. So if I render it now, it's going to be just invisible. All right. Because we're not really casting any shadows. So let's make a light in the scene. Now this scene, we can do, well, let's do both diffuse lighting and cast shadows. You probably need a combination of both. So I'm going to create lighting, not photometric, standard lights. I'm going to start with this skylight. So if I put this up here, you know, the skylight is kind of universal in the scene. It doesn't really matter where you put it. Okay. And I'm turning on cast shadows. Okay. And I'm going to turn down the rays just because it's slow. I'm going to turn down the rays per sample to 5, just so it's not so noisy. And if I say F9, let's see what's going on here. This is rendering at the full 3000 pixel wide resolution, but all right, so it worked. Okay. Now I don't know how well you can see it, but this one's not quite on the ground. You can definitely see it's dark underneath there. This is dark around here. There's shadowing in the corners. Okay. It's relatively subtle. All right. But it does make it, since this is really just a lot of diffuse lighting, it fits kind of in the scene. Unfortunately, the scene is a little bit jangly looking. I actually don't really. I like the nice clear quality of, and positioning it in this weird little space, but the background is kind of rough for showing these things off. It's I don't think I would actually use this one in the end, although you never know. So this guy has to go down here. Yeah, I had it a little too high. Well, let's make a cast shadow then. Okay, so I'm going to go to create a light, and what direction in this, oops, in this photograph is, I can see cast shadows here. I believe that that's what that is. And I'm going to guess that it's an overcast day up above, and there's just like a lot of diffused overcast lighting coming down. Here you can see it. There's a shadow, but mostly from diffused lighting. I'm just going to put one overhead, okay, and just make it soft. All right, so, and here it's mostly, I'm going to use target direct, okay, because spotlight has diverging rays, so you'd have to put the light quite high. And target direct, all the light rays are parallel. So in this case, I think I want that. And I'm just going to go here and drag down. All right. Now the size of this, of the edge of the light might vary. I'm just going to make it so it's kind of hard to tell, but it's clearly too small. So I'm going to go to my, let's see, directional parameters and just turn up fall off quite a lot so it includes the whole scene, and turn up the hotspot too. All right, turn cast shadows on. Ray trace shadows are what we have at the moment. Those are going to be kind of hard looking, but let's see what they look like. And I'm not seeing, it might be just the position. The the shadows from the light are now kind of washing out some of the ambient light from the, let's try to get it at a slightly different angle. Remember, the combined amount of light that you have in your scene should be around 1, and these lights are each 1. So I'm going to reduce this guy to 0.7 and my skylight intensity down to 0.5 or something like that. All right. And I'm going to take this direct light and move it back like this, so it's casting in a direction. I just want to see it first, right? There it is. Okay. It's partly this guy's just in the way a little bit from some of the shadows. Moving forward here. Just want to be able to see what I'm doing a little bit more. Yeah, there's shadows. They don't look super great, but they work. Let's gonna tweak my position a little bit more like this, maybe. So you don't want your shadows to be. If we had no skylight, then the shadows would be jet black, and that wouldn't be good. This isn't too bad. I'm going to turn down this object still a little bit high. The lighting is a little bit bright on these. I'm going to turn down the skylight. It's kind of hard to see on this image. I'm going to go down to 0.4 on this, 0.3. But I want more diffused shadows. So let me see if there's a way I can do that. If I go to target direct light in the scanline renderer, I can use so shadow map is very simple, but too unrealistic. Area shadows are going to be good. They're slower, but they'll give you more realistic shadow where in which the fuzzy part of the shadow, is it called the penumbra? I'm not sure. If you set like a cylindrical object on the table and there's mixed lighting in the room, the shadow is going to be very tight, close to the base of the object, and more diffused, as more fuzzy on the edge as it gets away from things. So I want that, and ray trace shadows are just always hard edged. So if you're outside in the bright sunlight, the ray trace shadows are usually fine. But most of our scenes here seem to be kind of diffused. Depends on what you come up with. If you find some other photos. Anyway, area shadows. Now with area shadows, it depends on, let's see what we have here. Closing up things I don't want. Area shadows, it depends on the size of the light, okay? See these area light dimensions, 10 by 10? And let's see what, you can make it bigger and the shadow will get fuzzier if you make it like 100 by 100 or something like that. I am going to, this is generally how this works. There's a fair amount of noodling that goes on. I'm going to put this light. See, it doesn't make sense to cast right through the buildings because light couldn't be coming through the brick wall, but I'm going to kind of do it like that just so I can see the shadow better. And I'm also temporarily going to turn off my skylight. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go back to this thing and I'm going to make my light 100 by 100. Okay, usually when I'm trying to adjust something, I don't try to incrementally increase bit by bit to see what is going to happen. I go like a big ways and then back up because it just seems quicker to do it like that. 100 by 100, and let's see what we get. Good heavens. All right, so that's pretty cool shadow. I mean, I guess the light is mostly hitting the back of it, and that's why this looks so dark. I did turn it down to 0.7. So let's select this light again. Where the heck is it? And try making this 50 by 50. And see what happens there. Okay, so once I fill this in with the area light again, it doesn't look really bad. Let's go down to 20 by 20. Okay, so if I go all the way down to a very small light, it's going to come back eventually as a hard edge light. The light's a little noisy looking there, and we might need to also improve shadow shadow quality probably. I'm not going to get into that right now because just take too much time fiddling with it. But I'm going to put the air. This is very dark looking, so I could. I'm going to turn this skylight back on. I'm going to make it 0.2. All right, so to me, it's not looking too bad, right? It's pretty. The color of the shadow looks a little warmer here, right? The cooler here, but it might be just you can go in also, if this is something that seems to stand out and go into shadow parameters. And instead of this black, I can make it very dark. Let's just try it and see what it looks like. Turn the saturation all the way up. Yeah, this image is a little bit warm. So that, like, the shadows were looking a little bit bluish. It's actually pretty good, I think. It warmed up the shadows slightly. All right. Now, I'm going to put them back somewhere that's a little more. If it's helpful, you can also look through the light to help you position it. So if I have a light selected and I go on some empty viewport, shift $sign, okay? That's actually a command I only know the shortcut for. I don't know. Actually, maybe it's. Yeah, I actually only. Oh, there it is right there, lights. Okay. All right, with the light selected, I should see the thing. And this helps you position it because now I'm looking through the light and I can tell where the shadow is going to be cast. Like this thing, this arch right here. Okay, I know now that the shadow is going to be directly underneath it. And this one, the shadow is going to fall behind it, right? You can tell that by looking at it. So if I want to adjust this a little bit, so I see it a little bit kind of like that, that might look better in my scene. Oh yeah, I like this shadow here that falls on the thing. The angle of this is a little funny looking, but anyway, and I don't see any shadow from this guy's just too close. Maybe I'll push him back a hair. Almost done here. there should be shadows showing directly. There's the little bit of shadow here showing. This guy looks really dark. Not really sure why. I guess it's kind of just the color I made it. If I can get that shadow showing a little bit more on him. Yeah, there it is. Just want to make sure it's working. And anyway, so then all you have to do is hand the thing. I'm going to make this guy a little closer here so I can see it better. Maybe this one too. It's really just to show off the artwork more than it is to, you know, if it can have some kind of logical sense, that's great. But okay. Oh, one other thing. If you get in a situation where the shadows would be cast on the wall, okay, you can actually take this ground plane, right? I'm just going to hold down Shift to make a copy of it. Okay, copy, not instance. And I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And put it against the wall. Okay, it'll work on a wall too, right? So if your shadow is hitting the wall, I don't think mine is, but maybe it is a little bit. Yeah, yeah. See, it's hitting and running up the wall there. Pretty cool. All right, so so just hand this in. All right, make it as good as you can make it. This background, I like it, but it's kind of hard to see this one here shows up pretty well, actually. That's not bad. This one's a little hard to see, but maybe that kind of makes sense. It ain't bad. Um, yeah. So to hand this thing in, right? Just rendering the render setup. You can just do what I just did. Let me open that back up again. And just hit save image, save it off as a JPEG. Generally, what I do in every project is I go here and I give it a name and a location, and then every time I render, it saves. Okay, so anyway, this is cool, right? I like it. So hand that in, and that's it for this week.